There's a big misconception about arrangement that is holding you back from finishing tracks. And this is the exact reason why you are often stuck with 8 or 16 bars loop. So what is the problem? The problem is that we think of arrangement too much with our analytical and logical mind. But the music is really all about feelings, emotions, the energy, like the divine and spiritual energy that flows through you and allows you to like materialize this into the real world, like into the sound waves. So in this video, I want to show you and teach you a totally different approach to arranging music. And this approach is called the emotional approach framework. And what it will allow you to do is it will allow you to understand arrangement from a deeper perspective, from the bigger picture. So you will understand what arrangement really is about and how to turn your ideas, your loops, into full tracks. And not just like full tracks, finished tracks, but authentic tracks, signature tracks, your own tracks that really like speak for themselves. They will express your intention, your feelings, and it will make people feel what you want to say with your music. Okay, so let's start with basics, like foundation, fundamental. What is arrangement? Arrangement is a process of telling a story with a sound. You're not just arranging a track. We're using sounds to make the listener feel certain emotions and vibe you want to convey. It's a journey, like a movie, right? So when you think of arrangement as a tool to help you express your emotions, now it is not this like complicated thing. It's now like, okay, it is a tool to show people how I feel and how I want them to feel when they listen to my track. So before we jump into the project, I want you to like together listen to my track and watch the music video so you can really like immerse yourself and approach music and arrangement from the emotional perspective. So let's listen to the track, and we're going to be working with this track in the project. All right, I think it's a really good example, and I hope I could make you feel like a certain way. And the thing is, like every single of you will feel differently because like the music itself, like it can make you feel different emotions, like different like feelings and states and so on, right? So I want you to think of music from the emotional perspective from now on. So again, a couple more things before we start. So when you're creating music, try to be intentional with your big ideas, like for the track, sounds and how you structure them. What's the emotion you want people to feel? Because idea one, like this track, where there's like melodic techno, can make people feel like, energetic. It could be energetic. It could be like uplifting. And the second one could be like really dark, sad, mysterious, and really like haunting, right? So this is also important to you understand. And I'm going to give you this mindset shift now, which is going to be like a totally like game changer. When you create loops, think of emotions. Replace what sounds do I add here, or what's the perfect track structure with what sounds can I use to convey a specific emotion and tell a story of the track. This will put pressure off yourself and let the creativity flow. And that's like sounds so simple, but maybe not really simple. And a couple more things before we start. So this way, loops of sounds are like little building blocks that help you to express emotion. So you go from mystical, for example here, like we'll listen to the track, to then relaxed, deep, and peaceful. You just need to find the right sounds to fit the vibe, okay? So let's now jump into the project and look at those things a little bit closer. So the track that you saw on the presentation, it is this track. I'll try to be like quick with the examples that I'm showing because it's a lot. Listen to the vibe, like just listen to the vibe and what emotions you're feeling. right? So this section feels a bit different compared to this one. And the next part, which is like, this one was like mystical, sort of, oriental. And listen to this, like it's so different and it's really about the emotion. Right? Different instruments, different vibe, different rhythm. And I'm going to show you like one more example because this track is 2 years old now because my state is different. Like my, like overall, like I'm a different person right now. Now I make music which is a little bit more like, I don't know, energetic, cyberpunk. It's just like the stage where I'm at right now. It's always like changing, like it's constantly changing. But listen to how different music can sound from the same artist. Very, very different. And also like the first track was very different. So to summarize everything that I said here, try to shift from like analytical mind to more like thinking with emotions and really planning your track with emotions when you create, right? Let's now talk about the elements of a full track. I'm gonna really, really quickly go through those because I already made like a lot of videos. I'll link like a playlist here so you can watch it. But basically, it's just gonna be like understanding the intro, the drop, and the break. Those are like in a nutshell, like all the elements that you need to know. Like really, there's more to that. Like we can say like variation to the drop, but like really it is intro, outro, minimal drop, main drop, right? So still like a drop is a drop and there's always going to be like simplified versions of the same drop, right? So essentially we are making a micro variations of the main idea drop, okay? And it doesn't have to be like in this specific order. This is like for the first track that I showed you with the music video. It could look like this. We have intro, we have build, we have simple drop, like main drop, cool down, right? So really quickly, again, I don't want to focus too much on that because this is like, it's not that important. So the intro usually is where you tease the main thing of the track, where you start like introducing elements, and depending on the track, right, it could be, I usually like, going for the full thing like right away. So here's an example of an intro where it's like, again, just like teasing your sounds, like teasing the main idea, the drop, the vibe, and so on. Check it out.
I want it, I want it, I want it, so I got it. She wants it, she wants it, she wants it, hypnotic, hypnotic. She wants it, she wants it, hypnotic. She wants it, hypnotic.
So this is an example of a simple drop right after the intro. I'll explain like the structure and the energy flow and so on. And then as we go through the track, right, like like it's in a movie, you start introducing more and more elements to your tracks, right? So as we go, for example, here, it's going to be more sounds. It's like a story.
I want it, I want it, I want it, so I got it, got it, I got it, got it, I got it, got it, got it, I got it, I got it, I want it, so I got it.
And this is like the main drop, and here is going to be the break.
She wants it, she wants it, she wants it, hypnotic. I want it, I want it, I want it, so I got it. She wants it, she wants it, she wants it, hypnotic. I want it, I want it, I want it, so I got it.
Right? So it's like more sounds, and then after that, there's a different drop. there's like more and more variation. So the reason why I'm not putting like a lot of emphasis on that is because it's again not really important. Like there's a lot of videos talking about the structure itself, but I want to focus on the emotional part of it, right? So like again, it could look like this. We'll break down this track. So I want to show you like a little bit more variations for and ideas for the drop. So for example, if we take this is like the main drop, right? And your goal is just like, again, to create micro variations of the same drop. So if we listen to this, so now we could do like this. From the emotional point of view, this sounds really different to this, for example, because we have different sounds, we have different instruments. And again, the goal is to just like subtract, maybe sometimes add. I'll show you like my logic, but technically, you don't want to give the whole idea right away. This is how I do it. If you want, then feel free. But I usually like, taking some time and introducing the elements like in the story, because I want to control the emotions, I want to control the vibe, control the feelings, and so on and so on, right? Right, so here, like, again, it's technically the same energy, but just a different variation. And again, I'm not going to be like super specific because this is like not the point of this video. So one of the things that I really, really like in my music is I like having some evolution of my sound. So first I would have like the main drop, and the second drop is usually like where the climax is. So you just heard this drop, and the only thing which is different in the second drop is this sound. This sound alone is just changing the whole game, changing the whole track, and giving this like, just spicing it up, giving it some like emotion and feeling and just like oriental kind of vibe. Really beautiful. And now listen, it's like same drop, same instruments, but just a bit different vibe.
Wanna see you drop, 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 drop. Wanna see you drop, drop, drop.
So, like, again, the emotion is a little bit different. Now let's talk a little bit more about the length of the specific elements and like the logic itself. It's like the part of the chapter. So what I suggest is try creating longer loops, because it's much easier to arrange with longer loops. Like I would recommend like 16 bars, because then like I copy this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. I just copied the same thing, like made some differences in the elements, and it's like 4 and something minutes. And I just copied the whole thing 7 times, added micro variation, and that's it. So like super, super important. 16 bars, try to create like the main loop and then arrange it. When it comes to the arrangement logic, all we're really doing is we are using the main loop and we are just adding micro variations to it. Maybe you remove some elements, maybe you change instruments, maybe you add some layering on top, maybe you use like a different rhythm, maybe you do like a cool automation, right? But the logic is, like again, as you heard, it's the same vibe, but just with bit different instruments. And that's really like the whole thing that you have to understand when it comes to this. So now let's talk about the emotional arrangement formula. So this is like the whole thing that I promised, right? So now you understand that arrangement, it's not just like putting sounds in some like specific way to make the track sound good. It's really like about the emotional approach, right? How do you tell a story with your sounds, with your instruments? So before working on the details of the song, map out emotions you want the listener to feel. You want the listener to feel in the track, right? So you can do like a very like demo, just like same loop where you copy like for like 4 or 5 minutes, and then just try to really like feel into these emotions. So you're starting like intro. Is the intro energetic? Are we going like right away, or are we taking the listener on the journey and we really want to like ride the wave, like maybe have some conscious? What's the intro like? What's the drop like? What's the break like? And then think of the energy flow as well. How is the energy flowing in your track? This is so important, right? So this one is not like, it doesn't represent specifically what is happening, but it like this arrow like just visually represents what you can do in the energy, because like, this is an example of one track. Maybe your track looks something like this. I don't know, like it's up to you. But now let's really analyze the track from the emotional perspective. And let's see how I'm using sounds to convey emotions and feelings. So we will analyze that, and and it will give you like a whole different idea, approach, and understanding. So first thing first, the intro. The intro here, the goal is how I usually like it, like introduce the whole thing, sort of, maybe like a more simplified version of the same track, and tease it a little bit, right? So here it's like dark, mysterious, curiosity kind of vibe. So that's the intro, right? Again, dark, mysterious, sparks curiosity. Now the next thing is going to be like this mystical, shamanic, like kind of like building tension, right? So if you look at it from this perspective, I have added some like organic sounds and stuff like that. So just listen and really feel into the emotions, because for you emotions might be different. But like again, mystical, shamanic, and building tension before the main drop. Right? And then what is happening next is the release. It's really deep and hypnotic, and that's the story of this track. I really wanted to start minimal, kind of tease the main idea here, because it's going to come later in the track. So like I'm technically giving away, I'm teasing, and then taking it back and introducing that like gradually, right? Let's listen to this. So this one is like even more hypnotic. There's like more atmospheres to the sound, more depth for like new sound. So like again, think from the emotional point of view, like what emotions do you feel, right? This section is like, again, hypnotic, but we are cooling down, we are going down, we are transitioning to the break. this is an example of the like little bridge, right? It's not like a full-fledged break, it's more like a bridge to the break. Because again, you want to change the energy and you want to slowly like go to the breakdown. And from here, what I'm starting to do, I'm starting to introduce like more elements. This is like going back to the original idea, right? So this all was like a pre-story. This was like the prologue, right? Some sort of like introduction, like really, kind of letting the listener feel what's gonna come next. And then here we are slowly transitioning to. So here, like again, it's transition, it's different energy. And if you can't come up with like specific emotions, just think about like the feeling. Okay, here, build tension. Maybe like if you can come up with specific emotions, that's cool. If you can't, that's also okay, right? But just like have some sort of like intention behind your actions. Again, this is minimal drop. I don't want to give away everything like right away. It's like a story, right? It's like you hooked the listener, and they're like, okay, let me take this back, and then like introduce more elements, like play with sound and so on. Also, pay attention that I have like the drum loop here. And this is like a little transition, like again, to build tension, but it's really strategic. So like you introduce these like energetic tubas, like a brass section, but then I'm not letting the full drop like kick in yet. So listen to what I did. Like again, introducing the main motif and taking away the arpeggio. And this was like, it doesn't yet play the full thing. And then we are building up the energy again and going to the climax. Again, think of like feelings and intentions. And here's gonna be the climax. So this is really like the culmination, or like how do you say this like in English? Like the climax, right? The most energetic part of the track. And I could make it a little bit longer, but now like I want you to feel what this track is about. So that's pretty much it, bro. Like again, this video is not really technical. It's more like belief, like mindset shifting, right? So just think of your music from a more emotional way and don't think too much about like, what do I put here? Arrangement is a tool. The most important thing is like what feelings you want to express, what emotions you want to express, and like what you want to make people feel. Okay, so that's going to be it for this video, and hope you liked it, hope it was valuable, and I see you in the next one, bro.